Hakeem's party was a dud, so AOC threw her own fiesta at Casa de Schumer.
All right, guys, so the government is shut down, which means that Capitol tours are closed, but we had a bus of kids from the Bronx and schools that came all the way down here for a tour. Obviously, no one knew that the government was shut down, so I'm giving them a tour. Say hi, everybody.
Chuck takes one day off for Yom Kippur, and AOC's in the Senate giving a tour. Or was she just scoping out her new office? If Schumer wants to keep his digs, he's going to have to keep the government shut down. Chuck's getting squeezed in between two buns like a hot dog. AOC inciting far-left activists to flood the phone banks, pressuring leadership to hold the line. Schumer's fighting a two-front war against MAGA and Marxists.
New York is probably going to elect a Marxist for mayor. He's terrified by that development. Chuck Schumer is a far-left progressive politician, but he's not far enough left for this base.
Sources are saying Schumer and the sombrero aren't being taken seriously by anyone in Washington.
Schumer and Jeffries, never in my career have I seen two leaders so dismissed, not just by the media, which normally loves Democrats, but privately by Democratic members of the House and Senate. They're really just, people are just rolling their eyes and throwing their hands up and saying, you know, there's nothing we can do. We're not going to depose them now, but they are not leading us.
Hips and Chuck are just trying to keep their jobs. They don't want to shut the government down, but they have to because the base is itching for a fight and they have these two on a leash. So Hakeem's begging for another meeting with Trump.
In fact, Donald Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program. No one can find him when it comes to the government shutdown issue because he knows he's responsible for having caused it.
Trump's ready to reopen, but he doesn't have to prove anything to his base. He's not on TV all day looking like a desperate puppet. Because behind the scenes, he just reportedly got Hamas to end the war. Trump's not caving and giving free health care to illegal aliens. The White House says for every day Democrats keep the government shut down, the sombrero gets 10 times bigger. Hakeem spent more time fighting over a hat than he did fighting to keep the government open. And Hakeem's not the only one wearing a sombrero. Trump dropped this one just before midnight.
Hola, mi fellow Americanos, y bienvenidos al cierre de Schumer. That means welcome to the Schumer shutdown. We call it the Schumer siesta, right? It's the Schumer siesta. He put the government on siesta, crying Chuck. And El Hakimo Jefe Jeffries, we used to call him Dollar Store Obama.
Why is Hip so sensitive about a hat? He wore a yarmulke. And Bill Clinton rocked a sombrero at a Labor Day picnic with the Mexican dance team. He considered it an honor. Obama wore hats. Democrats didn't find that offensive, but Barry did admit it wasn't a good look. He said, the general rule, you don't put stuff on your head if you're president. You never look good wearing something on your head. Although Biden didn't look bad with a Trump hat. Plus, it drove Kamala crazy. Whether it's a red hat or a sombrero, now Hispanics are begging him to throw a fiesta.
Is the president open to letting the Hispanics, who overwhelmingly voted for him, have their own siesta fiesta in the White House lawn opposed to the fancy, you know, we don't need fancy schmancy, right? You can give us the backyard and we'll fill it all in and have in our own fiesta.
The White House says they'll lend them the big, beautiful ballroom if it's ready by Cinco de Mayo. Trump's throwing siesta fiestas. Meanwhile, Democrats can't get anyone to show up to theirs. There's nothing fun about old men screaming about the Civil War.
We are living in an unprecedentedly dangerous moment, maybe the worst crisis in America literally since the Civil War.
Civil War, race cards, Obamacare. That old Nancy Pelosi playbook isn't going to fly against Trump 2.0. Maybe that worked once, but now it just looks like it's for show.
People want to see us fighting. They want to see us have a backbone. They want to know how we're different from Donald Trump. And, when we don't fight hard, especially when the entire enterprise of democracy is at risk, then we don't seem sincere when we tell people that there might not be a free and fair election in 2026.
Murphy just admitted he's trying to fool his own base. He's trying to convince his base he's not a phony, so they'll buy his lies. Men always have to maintain control. And who looks like they're in control? Trump saying no and then throwing around sombreros. And Democrats are screaming, offended, defensive. Trump's ready to reopen the government whenever Democrats want. But in the meantime, he's having fun. If someone tries to email a bureaucrat right now at the Department of Education, they get a message that says, sorry, Democrats are shutting down the government.
The email reminds those who reach out to the Department of Education employees that we cannot respond because Senate Democrats are refusing to vote for a clean CR and fund the government, adding, where's the line?
Out of office emails. And while the government is shut down, the president's agenda keeps rolling. The Democrats are playing right into his hand.
We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
While the administration reduces the size of government because Democrats are holding out for illegal alien health care, AOC has kind of changed the definition of an illegal alien.
Republicans love to dangle this shiny object that says, but what if someone not like you gets it?
An illegal alien is just someone not like you. Schumer won't even have a discussion about what he's trying to pull. He just goes, no, 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 no.
Some of that obviously goes to people who don't have insurance, including undocumented immigrants. And
Jake, it's all a lot of bull. Not a single federal dollar. Not a single federal dollar goes to undocumented immigrants.
They lied about Biden's brain, the laptop, the lab leak, and Russia, Russia, Russia. No one believes anything they say anymore. We've already explained how it all works. But just use common sense. There's 20 million illegals in the country. When they get sick, have babies, get surgery, you think they're walking into medical facilities paying cash? 20 million illegals in this country are just not going to the doctor. They're getting sick and injured, and they don't have a lot of money to begin with. So who's taking care of them? Of course they're getting free health care. Blue states have whole programs that advertise free health care for illegals that the feds fund. We were spending money on sex changes for people living in other countries. You don't think we're giving illegal aliens health care in this country? The last time Democrats had a primary, they all raised their hands for health care for illegals. All of them. It's not about you. Never was. It's about their own jobs and doing whatever they can to keep their power. This is the Schumer shutdown. They want to hurt you so that they can keep their seats. They're admitting it. Listen.
Plenty of folks on the left who say, you know what? If Republicans have done this and they control all branches of the government, we should allow the American people to feel the pain of what Republican policies are. I mean, you can't keep, if you want to touch the stove, at some point you got to let them touch the stove.
Bill Clinton wanted to feel your pain. Schumer wants you to feel pain. How times have changed.
But first, the Democrats' destructive agenda. It is wreaking havoc all across the country, and that has never been more readily apparent than with this week's Schumer shutdown. And everyone needs to understand one fundamental truth about why we are in this position, because this goes directly against every single solitary publicly stated position Chucky has taken during his long career over decades. He is only doing this to try to appease the radical wing of the Democratic Party. In other words, the real leaders of the Democratic Party. Grandpa Bernie, Pocahontas, AOC, the Squad, Jasmine Crockett, and, of course, their new hero, communist, commie, Marxist Zoran Mamdani. And the most pathetic part for Schumer is this will make no difference. The radicals now holding the Democratic Party hostage, They hate Schumer. They'll continue to hate Schumer. He's at a 17% approval rating. This is his last rodeo. Earlier this week, AOC even told Republicans, go negotiate with her in her office. That sparked outrage from Nancy Pelosi. Make no mistake, Schumer, Jeffries, just like Pelosi, the old leaders of the Democratic Party, they are only leaders in name only, being held hostage by the radical wing of their party, and they're scared to death. The Democrats have completely lost their way. They've jumped the shark. And if you need any more proof of any of this, look no further than their pathetic attempts to spin the Schumer shutdown. Earlier this week, Hakeem Jeffries hosted a live stream on his YouTube page featuring Democratic lawmakers, influencers, some that even had like 13, 14 million followers. But according to Politico reporter Adam Wren, the bizarre stunt failed miserably. Cringeworthy moments. At times, only a few dozen people watching. People know the Democrats are radicalized. And while Democrats are struggling to form any cohesive messaging other than flat out lying to all of you, House Speaker Mike Johnson, he's out there all over the place, telling the truth, setting the record straight, attacking Chuck Schumer for caving to the radical wing of his party. Take a look.
Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats, is terrified that he's not going to win back his Senate seat. He's afraid that the Marxist far-left corner of his base is going to challenge him in New York. Maybe many of you have noticed New York is probably going to elect a Marxist for mayor. He's terrified by that development. Chuck Schumer is a far-left progressive politician, but he's not far enough left for this base. And so he's got to show a fight against the president. He's got to show that he's fighting Republicans. We're limited government conservatives. We think the government's too big. We think the federal government is too big. It does too many things, and it does almost nothing well. And so it serves the taxpayers to send less of their hard-earned money to Washington and keep more in their pockets. That's what we're advancing through the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the legislative priorities that we achieve. But see, sometimes Democrats, not sometimes, all the time, Democrats don't agree with that because they love big government. I mean, listen to them. They want the government to control every aspect of your lives, and they need all of your hard-earned dollars to do that. In fact, they'd like to take them all. That's what the socialists are arguing for. That's what the Marxists believe.
Now, during that same presser earlier today, Speaker Johnson also laid out everyone being hurt by the Schumer shutdown, showing America just how destructive the Schumer shutdown is and how Schumer's kowtowing to the far left, how impactful it is in a negative way to the country. Take a look.
Who's getting hurt? Women, infants, and children, nutrition programs that are now stalled. Veterans' health services that will not be provided. People who are low-income Medicare recipients who receive telehealth and health treatment at home. Many of those programs are not being funded. We have troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents who are working without pay, protecting the country. And you have FEMA services, health insurance policies, for example, that are being stalled in the middle of a hurricane season because the Democrats want to play political games and try to obscure the real facts at issue.
All right, but the biggest issue at play this week is the left's big lie claiming, oh, the shutdown has nothing to do with your hard-earned taxpayer dollars funding health care for illegal immigrants. Make no mistake, they have been lying to you all week. Every American's been lied to about this issue. Last night we showed you the exact language in their proposed spending plan that would have allowed your taxpayer dollars to fund health care for illegals. You know, people that don't respect our laws, our border, our sovereignty. Again, earlier today, Speaker Johnson laid it out in no uncertain terms. This is the truth you won't see in the legacy media mob. Take a look.
Page 57, section 2141. You see the highlighted language. There's a lot of legalese in this legislation, in these bills, but it says that they want to repeal the health subtitle changes. What does that refer to? You read down here, Public Law 119-21. That's the One Big Beautiful Bill. That's the American Families Tax Cut. Some of the most important provisions in that law was that it eliminated fraud and abuse of our health system. Medicaid has been rife with fraud and abuse, and so we reformed it. Why? To help provide more and better health services for the American people. By the CBO's estimate, about 1.4 million illegal aliens were receiving Medicaid benefits that were intended only for U.S. citizens that met the categories I just described. So we did the common sense thing, the right thing, the just thing, and we put it in the law, and the president signed that, gladly signed it into law. They want to repeal it. They want to give those resources back to illegal aliens. That's exactly what that highlighted language means. So you see the final total there, $192.8 billion of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats want to give back to illegal aliens. That's a fact, and nobody can refute it.
All right, it's a tipping point for the country. You talk about a midterm that's going to be important. This is the biggest choice election, imperative midterm coming up in 26 in our lifetime. This is what we are up against. The Democrats, they want a whopping $1.5 trillion new government funding to refund NPR, PBS, allow your hard-earned money to support health care for illegals. They want $1.5 trillion to fund the government for a mere 7 weeks. Now, Democrats, they have made a colossal miscalculation because the shutdown has now allowed Republicans and Donald Trump to get to work dismantling the bloated bureaucracy that Washington has become, the one that's bankrupting the country, the one that's robbing your kids' and grandkids' future. Earlier today, President Trump posted an AI-generated video depicting OMB Director Russ Vought as the Grim Reaper, signaling that major spending cuts and cuts to dysfunctional bureaucratic systems are coming. By the way, a lot of these jobs may not be coming back if they are deemed unnecessary. The government is bloated, too big, too out of control, too bureaucratic. And after Hakeem Jeffries awkwardly tried to dodge questions about whether members of Congress would continue to be paid before Jasmine Crockett confirmed that they would, well, Ohio Republican Senator Bernie Moreno, he introduced legislation to impose a tax on lawmakers that would eat away at their paychecks if there's a government shutdown that continues. Now, the Democratic Party is being held hostage by the new leaders of their party. This is the radicalized, Marxist, Mamdani, socialist left, and the squad, and the Green New Deal Democrats, and their destructive agenda, which would wreak havoc across the country. So the Schumer shutdown, which is nothing more than a desperate ploy by Chucky to appease this crazy base, because he is blinded by his diminishing power and blinded by his political ambition, continues. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.